What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library, 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are looking back at 2022. For one last time, we're going to be ranking our 10 favorite releases from last year.
One more time. I just have that song constantly going through my head right now. You ruined me for the whole episode.
No, Daft Punk should be the background of all our episodes.
Real quick, real off topic. Ben, you've become kind of famous. Not really, but in my heart, famous for the t-shirts that you wear on this pod.
Yeah.
Now, I podcast in a shed, which is generally really cold during the winter, so I can't wear t-shirts. I just always cover them up with hoodies. But I just wanted to say, tonight, I'm wearing a t-shirt, Ben, from director Greta Gerwig. I'm ready for Barbie, baby, 2023.
Dude, I can't wait. I wish I would have known. I would have put mine on. We could have had some, synchronicity here, but I just have my Marvel shirt on.
That's solid. That's pretty good,
And we'll see if a Marvel movie ends up on my top 10 from last year.
Oh,
tease.
I like that.
Tease. Yeah.
That's a good tease. That's a good tease. Well, this episode is kind of a conduit, if you will, to getting back to the full A24 status of this podcast. We're done talking about the Oscars. We've talked about them for 12 weeks and we're good. I will say, I did tweet out the other day. I was like, hey, here's my 2024 way too early Best Picture predictions. Barbie made the list, and I'm feeling really good about it. Go follow me on Twitter at Ethan Simi if you want to see that. But we're done talking about the Oscars. We're moving on. We're going to talk about our favorite, our top 10 general releases of 2020. Does not need to be a Best Picture nominee. Does not need to be A24 in-house. Could be anything that you want it to be. And then next week, we're looking ahead to 2023 for A24. We got some heaters coming down the pipeline that we're going to talk about. We're going to check out. Ben, to kick off this podcast, I just want to know, because you and I differ. How do you do this? How does Ben Lawhorn do his top 10 list?
I treat it basically like a desert island. If I'm going to be stuck somewhere and I get to take 10 movies from 2022, what am I taking with me? I assume we're going to go over some honorable mentions, and
of course,
realistically, some of my honorable mentions I do like more than other things that are going to be on here, but maybe they're like too similar, or I just feel like I only need one of these kind of movies or whatever. So I'm treating it like a desert island. Like if I'm stuck watching 10 things from this year, what 10 do I want to watch? So that's what I'm going with. I know you said like you have your list on Letterboxd. I've refrained from looking at it because I want to be surprised as much as possible. Okay, but how about you? How is yours ranked?
So I generally, and 2023 is the same. So in 2022, I will make a list on Letterboxd. Go follow me on Letterboxd. I think I'm just at Ethan Simi, my handle. And as the year progresses and as I see new releases that come out during the year, I keep like a live ranking. And that way I can kind of feel out, how I felt about a movie at the time of the release. Like if it was, if I did come off of it really hot and I was like, this was a great theater experience or whatever it may be. And then the year comes to a close and I do one final Passover, and nice. I try to lock it on January 1st of the next year. I try to not touch that rankings list.
Okay.
Which I feel like is kind of a little bit of a tweak that people might not know or might not abide by, but I feel like released in 2022, I keep the list for 2022. I like to keep it in the year. I like to keep it in the calendar year because, going back over this list, there were a few things where I was like, whoa, I wonder if I should tweak that. Like, I remember liking that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And it didn't make my top 10. So I'm curious. But no, I think it is essentially for me a time capsule of that year in cinema, right? I try to keep it in there.
So we obviously been covering the Oscars for the last 10 weeks. Yep. So what do you do in that case? Are you updating it? Like, say you just like Triangle Sadness was a 5-star for you. Are you updating that list, or does it stay locked after January 1st? Like what you saw in the calendar year?
Stays locked. Lock it down. Keep it in the vault. Even if I rewatch. So we'll see. We got some Best Picture nominees on this top 10 list. I will tease. That is the case. Now, where I have a tough inner battle, battle for my soul, is when I rate something a certain amount of stars, right? So like if I give something 4 stars and then I give something else 4.5 stars, logically, that should be ahead in my top 10 list, right? Like it should abide by the star ranking. Now, that is not always the case, and I've been getting better at being like, you know what? Doesn't matter. Like, I just, stars kind of arbitrary at the end of the day, right? Like, it's whatever you feel like. So there could be a couple, that are just like wiggling their way around in the top 10 here that are not necessarily that star ranking. But yeah, I try to keep it within the year. And so for 2022, I saw 77 2022 releases, and that is how many movies are on my list.
Nice.
And I will be honest with you, last place, number 77, is an A24 film that we did review. It was a bummer.
All the stars?
Yeah, it's no. It's The Sky is Everywhere.
The Sky. Wow.
An Apple TV Plus, a throwback.
Oh, yeah.
Not for me.
That was rough. That was real rough.
76, Morbius. So there's that.
There you go. We know something not making it. Okay.
This is true. Now I've clued you in. So yeah. And in order to do this 2022 list, we have both agreed that we are using the wide release date of a film. So a very good example, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, technically released at a film festival in 2021. That is what Letterboxd does show. It does use that film festival release date, but it did receive a nationwide release in 2022. We're keeping on the 2022 list. I feel good about that. You feel good about that. We're all aligned.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay. Exciting. Very cool. Ben, you don't keep your list on Letterboxd. Why not? Why is this not public information?
I mean, you know why? Like, I still haven't reviewed Quantumania. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm not good at it. Sometimes I'm great. Like, if you want to go see how I rank the Spider-Man movies, I've got that list. If you want to see my Nolan movies, my Tarantino, any of that
I'm
stuff,
lacking. I don't have. I've got
lists. The whole MCU, both the Infinity Saga and then just everything. Obviously, other than Quantumania, but sometimes I do it. But by the year, in my mind, it's they have a filter for that. I'll just look it up. I'm too lazy to add it to another list.
That's fair. Look, I try to be really particular, and I actually keep 2 current year lists. I keep a ranking and then movies that I watched in 2022. So it doesn't need or 2023, whatever the year. So it doesn't need to be released in that year. It's just a movie that I've watched. And I know Letterboxd tracks that, but sometimes I just like to have my own personal list that I can go back and not have to sort and do all these weird things with.
Speaking of that, though, I just want to shout out our good friend, Flynn Slicker.
Yeah.
Great guest on the pod. She's fantastic. Runs the socials at Letterboxd. If I can throw out a request to Flynn, if you can hear these words, I mean, again, the thing was Marcel. I went through all my 2022 movies and I'm looking all my 5, 4.5, 4 stars. Where's Marcel? But because it got released at that festival in 2021, it shows that that's the release date. It's not all of us, as much as I wish we were all cool enough to go to these festivals, we didn't get to see it till the summer of 2022. So I wish there was a way to I don't know, edit this. Did you see it at the release or 2022? Because I'm trying to make my list. I don't know. It's a silly ask. It's nothing. But if nothing else, hey Flynn, thanks for coming on. Can't wait to have you back.
Flynn, you will not be back on this pod until you fix that Letterboxd issue. Okay, simple as that. Look, here's the other thing. My 2022 list has a movie from A24 that I was able to see at Sundance that did not release until just a couple of weeks ago in 2023 for A24. So I feel your sentiment. It's what do you do, right? So I saw a couple movies at Sundance this year. I've got them. I did not put them in my 2023 ranked list because they are yet to be picked up by a distributor who knows if they're even going to come out this year. And I feel weird being yeah, one of my favorite movies of 2022 was something that only a few thousand people saw at Sundance.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
That's rather lame. So, but yeah, shout out Flynn. Interviewed Willem Dafoe and just chewed up that interview. It was so awesome to watch. She is now seen Before Midnight, by the way. So, we got to have her back on the pod. We got to do a Before Trilogy pod, bro. We got to do it.
I would love that. That'd be amazing.
I would love it. Give me a Before Trilogy watch along on the Patreon so you can just see me cry for 7.5 hours straight.
I would pay for that.
I think a lot of people might pay for that. Okay, Ben, without further ado,
let's do it.
Let's get into this list here. Let's get into this 2022, the top 10 of 2022. We're going to go from 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Classic, keep stringing along fashion here. I want you to start. Cause I don't know what your list is. I'm genuinely, like, we were texting yesterday and I was like, I can't wait to see your list. It's driving me crazy. So I want you to go first.
Well, my first one is a documentary on Netflix, and it's called Stutz. It was by Jonah Hill.
Pick. I love it.
This is a fantastic movie that hit me a lot harder than I thought it was going to. The premise essentially is Jonah Hill wanted to make a documentary about his therapist and some of the things that he does that he calls his tools and how he, helps people cope with their issues. Jonah digs in a lot to, like, when he was making Superbad and, like, he was just like the largest he's ever been in his life. And that's what the media was talking about all the time and how that affects you. But throughout the process, like the Stutz, that's his last name. Like, he asked Jonah questions and Jonah's like, nope, you're the subject. I'm not answering, whatever. Yeah. And I don't want to say too much because so much of it comes in the reveal that comes, like, maybe a third of the way through. Okay. And it really, it just takes a huge, like, left turn, but in the best way possible. So, I'm a big proponent of therapy. I think, everyone's mental health is super important. I've been in therapy for years. I think it's a fantastic thing. So to see a celebrity of note, like an A-list celebrity, making a documentary focusing on mental health and therapy, like, I just think that's fantastic to use. So many people get mad at the Oscars, like, oh, they're politicizing their pulpit, like, when they win, whatever. It's like, well, this is a great reason to use it, though. Just, like, let people know, like, we're all doing our best, but, like, we could all probably use some help. So Stutz, it's on Netflix. I love it. That's going to be my number 10.
That's a hard recommend for me. That is not within my top 10, and a little bit further down my 2022 list, but I loved Stutz. I'm so glad that's on your list. I didn't even know that you had seen that movie. So yeah, there's an incredible reveal that really was probably some of the most unique filmmaking and storytelling that I've ever seen in a documentary. Yeah. And me, people know I love Jonah Hill. Like, that's my dude. I will ride or die for Jonah Hill.
Mid-90s, dude.
Mid-90s, absolutely crushes. So when I found out he was in making Stutz, like, I was so excited to see him back behind the camera. I think he accomplishes a lot of really important things in that movie. And that's just a really, really hard recommend. And it's just like sitting on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. Yeah. Netflix gave him the bag to make some money. He is in You People, which is a new movie for 2023. He's great in that movie. I think that movie is bad overall, but Jonah Hill, keep winning, brother. You're doing it. That's a great pick for number 10. Okay, my number 10, I'm going with Jordan Peele's third film, Nope. Nice. This movie deserved more love at the Oscars, deserved more love at the box office. It is the modern day Jaws. Jordan Peele was able to accomplish, and I still think about this movie like at least once a week, where I'm just like, can I just have like a 60-second conversation with somebody about why Nope is so good? And it is something like Jordan Peele was able to accomplish the human fascination with the unknown, with stardom, with attention, with everything. He was able to have, homages to old westerns, to, Steven Spielberg sci-fi films, homages to Akira. Like, he was able to do it all. He is truly a master filmmaker. And I think it was so fascinating, and why I liked it so much is because it was a divergence from Get Out and from Us. It was much less horror focused, much less heady. It still had a lot to say about, the chase for stardom, the chase for fame. And I think there's some really fantastic filmmaking elements. And I saw it on IMAX and it just like blew my mind. And when people were like not talking about it as one of the best movies of the year, I was like, frankly, a little like, oh, well, maybe I misread, like maybe it wasn't as good as I thought. And then I was like, you know what? No, fuck no. Like, it was absolutely as good as I thought. And I'm excited. Jordan Peele's next film coming out December 25th, 2024. Just got announced today.
Oh,
very cool stuff.
I didn't see that. Yeah, Nope ends up on my honorable mentions. I kind of had a feeling you would talk about it. Nice. But yeah, I mean, he's created a new, villain, a new monster, jean jacket is like super rad. That Akira slide was like, I was the Leo meme in my front room when she did that. I was like, that's the Akira slide. And I'm sure everyone was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. So yeah, great movie. Daniel Kaluuya, just, I mean, both of them, but just like fantastic performances all the way through.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say about Nope is, if you don't understand it, or if like you're failing to maybe like grasp that extra meaning that a lot of people are talking about or say that is there, I would recommend rewatching it. I would also love to talk to you. So like DM me on Twitter, like, because there have been people that I have had a very distinct conversation with, and I was like, yeah, Nope was great, wasn't it? It was like, it's so incredible. And they're like, I didn't get it. It wasn't good. And it's like, well, there's a lot to get, like, if you're open to it. So I think it's a lot smarter than a lot of other people think it is.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. Yeah, for sure.
Number 9. What do you got, Ben?
Here we go.
The Batman. Is it the Batman? When's the Batman coming into the list? That's my question.
We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so I'm going to be transparent here. I have 2 cheats on this list, and this is the first one. This is the first one. 2 stand-up specials that I saw this year for the first time that I loved. The first one is Stavros Halkias called Live at the Lounge Room. And it's actually just on YouTube. We just kind of stumbled into it one night and just crying with laughter. Like, it was just like some of the best like room work, like crowd work. It was fantastic. I highly suggest watching that. I think it's just like an hour. It's a solid hour, but super funny dude. So check that out. And on the opposite end of the spectrum of I have like an established comedian, and it's Norm Macdonald, and he had a special called Nothing Special, which I believe is also on Netflix. And his is so interesting. It's just so different because he basically just recorded it in his basement in front of an iMac, like just going through his jokes. They kind of talk about it at the beginning, but in the summer of 2020, he was supposed to have a procedure that he was supposed to have a procedure that was going to affect his health because people didn't know it, but he was like pretty sick. Yeah. And so he recorded this special the night before, basically just in case something went wrong.
Wow.
And it's all like just kind of done in one take. Like, there's one part where he's telling a joke and his dog barks. And he waits 3 seconds and then he just like tells the joke again. So it starts from the beginning, and it's like someone else would have just like cut that out, you know, and like, but he's like, no, I'm just going to leave it all in there. And it's just super funny. Norm's got such a unique like sense of humor and his delivery and everything. If you like Norm, you like him. If you don't, you don't. But I think, you know, if anyone's a fan of Conan O'Brien, this is the best guest he's ever had. You could just look up on YouTube Norm Macdonald, Conan O'Brien, and just watch all those clips because their chemistry is amazing. So it was just a very cool special, and just knowing everything behind it about him. It ended up like, you know, being his last special. So that also kind of adds to it as well. But I just liked, you know, he doesn't need the crowd. He doesn't need a big room. He's just like, it'd basically be me right now, just like recording a stand-up special. That's like essentially all it is, but it's so intimate and just so well done. So I just want to shout out both of those.
That's good. I will allow that cheat. That is fair. That is,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Passable by the board. You're good to go. I'm not really a comedy special guy, so I got to add those to my list. I got to check those out. Nice. I think so far on our list, 2022, the year of innovative filmmaking, right? Mm-hmm. The year of pushing boundaries of what's possible and what you can do. I love that. That's great. All right, my number 9 is a little movie by a little director called Steven Spielberg. It's called The Fabelmans. Don't know if you've heard about it.
Okay.
It's on the list. Pretty good movie. It's about, you know, little Stevie. Yeah. Essentially, you know, we've talked about it here on the pod. We have a whole episode about it. Go find it. It's only a handful of episodes back, so I won't talk about it because, you know, there's not a lot to say that we haven't already said. I think Steven Spielberg is, you know, one of the best living directors, or one of the best directors alive. Like, he is the guy. And I think that final scene that we get in The Fabelmans with David Lynch making that cool cameo, and then we get that, you know, restructuring of the Horizon line. Every time I think about it, I'm like, movies, man. Fuck yeah. Like, that's so sick. Like, Steven Spielberg did it again. It's so good.
He knows
and so,
what
like,
he's doing.
it's just great. And I love the Fablemans. And like looking at this list, I'm like, yeah, I feel good about that. Like, I feel good about the Fablemans, and I have a hunch that we will come back as a society in 4 or 5 or 6 years and say, you know what? That movie, a lot better than people thought it was, and a lot better than the shutout that it got at the Oscars.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was amazing that how little recognition it got at the awards. Like, obviously a lot of nominations, but not a lot of wins.
Frightening.
My number 8 is also a little movie about a little guy.
Little tiny guy.
Little tiny guy
Little
right
tiny,
here.
little tiny
Mr.
shell, maybe?
Marcel the Shell with shoes on. Something you and I have talked about multiple times, both on this podcast and my other one, 3 films in a podcast. We just did the stop motion. You were on for that. I mean, I don't know what to say about this again. Like, you could listen to us talk about this, but it's an adorable film. I think it's one of the best uses or best examples of like something that happened on YouTube that translated really well. You know, in a different way, like Bo Burnham falls under that. You know, it's like, oh yeah, he did great on YouTube and now he's like successful. And I think these Marcel shorts really crossed over into a feature film, which was kind of, I don't know, didn't know if it was going to work or not, but I think it did. So yeah, Marcel's going to be my number 8 spot.
I love that. Yeah, my family loves Marcel. Like, it's great. Marcel is just so cute. He is the best. I love that that's on the list. Okay, my number 8 is a movie that I really wanted to rewatch last night. I didn't have the time because I had to watch a movie for your podcast, good sir, and I had to watch Succession because season 4 is coming right around the corner, and I got to get my rewatch done. So I had to power through that. So I didn't get the chance to rewatch it, but right before we started recording, I did watch the trailer, and I said to you, I was like, God damn, that trailer still hits. That is still a really good trailer for me. It is a movie that I saw, I believe, in the summer. It did come from Cannes. It is by Park Chan-wook. It is called Decision to Leave. Now, this is another movie that, if you haven't seen it, obviously I recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. It is fantastic, and I adamantly thought that this would be in contention for Best International and Best Director. Now, this movie, the logline is, the closer you look, the harder you fall. If you haven't seen it, I'll read what it's about real quick. Hae Jun, a seasoned detective, investigates the suspicious death of a man on a mountaintop. Soon, he begins to suspect Sao Rei, the deceased's wife, while being unsettled by his attraction to her. It is a murder mystery. Okay. It is a love story, and it is some of the most absolutely jaw-dropping cinematography I've ever seen in my life. We talk about Christopher Nolan all the time. We talk about Denis Villeneuve with Dune and all of these things that, like, you see on the IMAX screen, you're just like, God damn, that is so incredible. This movie has scenes in it that have just like lived in my head since I've seen it, and I consistently think about them, and I'm consistently like, I don't know how he did that. I don't know how it got done. Like, I don't even know where you start to film something like that. And it is so seductive. It is so intriguing. It is so deep that I absolutely need to rewatch it because I know there's so much that I didn't pick up on the first time.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're on the fence about it, I recommend at least watching the trailer. There's like a 90-second trailer out there, and the whole vibe of the movie is this kind of like seductive lust of like deciding to leave, deciding to do things in life. I love this movie, and it's absolutely a travesty that it didn't get any recognition at the Oscars. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Park Chan-wook is a phenomenal director. And yeah, I really think this is one of the best movies of 2022. And I said nobody was talking about Nope. Actually, nobody's talking about this movie. Nobody is talking about how good this movie was. It came, I saw it at a local cinema. I was like a changed person for like a couple of days because I just was like, zombified by what I had seen. And then like nobody's having conversations about it. And it's like, we're all missing a really, really, really good movie. So Decision to Leave is my number 8.
it's probably maybe my number one, but definitely the top 3 of movies I missed last year that I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't think it's helped at all by the fact that it's on Mubi. Like that's the only place you can watch it.
That's a tough pickup. Yeah.
You know, I feel like if it's on Netflix, if it's on HBO, anything like that. Cause Park Chan, like The Handmaiden's just like one of the most beautiful films ever.
I'd be so curious to see, like, if Netflix did pick that up, when RRR got picked up, I mean, that thing spiked. People were watching RRR. They were watching it in their homes. They were rewatching it. This movie is just over 2 hours long. It is not a 3-hour plus Indian epic. It doesn't have that action, doesn't have that comedy, but it is, you know, you talk about like Bong Joon-ho in the South Korean echelon of filmmakers.
Yeah.
This is it. This is right next to Parasite for me. This is good stuff.
I like that. Yeah. I saw some, you know, clips going around about like the special effects and how they pulled stuff off. It's like, well, it's impressive. So I need to check that out.
Crazy. Yeah. Gotta watch it.
All right. You ready for my big cheat? This is the big one.
Oh my God. I can't, you're going 2 cheats in a row? Unacceptable.
No, we did Marcel.
Oh, we did Marcel. Okay. Well,
trust me, I spaced it out because I knew you were going to come after me if I did 2 in a row. This is essentially my horror thriller selection. This is what I'm throwing out here.
This is like your one genre pick, your one genre film with that?
Essentially, yeah, but I'm naming a few because like they're just, it was a good year for horror. My one pick, the one I will nominate is Barbarian.
Hell yeah,
love that
brother.
movie. I had no clue what to expect in that movie. You know, fucking slaps, you know, in the words of Ethan, it fucking slaps. But I want to do some others that kind of go with it. Couple we covered X and Bodies. Like those were a ton of fun. And then Scream 5, I guess technically. Scream 6 just came out, but I just had to, I want to lump those all together. Obviously the pick is Barbarian, but overall it's just like, it was a really good year for horror. You know, please don't get mad at me, anyone who's listening to this. I still haven't seen Pearl, and I feel like that would have been on here. You know what I mean? But that's my horror pick is at number 7, basically Barbarian, but also X, Bodies, and Scream.
That's good. That's good. I will allow that cheat because you are right. 2022, absolutely stellar year for horror thriller.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I had Pearl at 18. I had Bodies at 17. I've got Barbarian to 21. So they're all in the mix. They're all in that upper division. That's
kind of how I felt about it. Where it's like, these are all really good. I just, you know, can take one of them. So yeah, Barbarian.
Yeah. Barbarian's great. And like, that's a great introduction to Jenna Ortega as well. Like in that kind of horror, you know, setting.
Oh yeah. With X.
Yeah. And I loved all of those movies. And I think we got to do Bodies again on this pod, man.
I'm down. It'd be fun.
Hey, that's such a fun movie. Okay, number 7. I'm going back to the well. Going back to the Oscars well, man.
Hell yeah.
It's got to be done. Triangle of Sadness is my number of 7. I love Triangle of Sadness. We talked about that movie with Flynn from Letterboxd, and so there's not a lot to say. I think you know, the theme of Eat the Rich will never not be entertaining to me, and especially when it is done well, and when it is done with intent, with purpose, over the top, even better. Like I just think this movie has it all, and I think I believe Harris Dickinson is the lead actor in this movie. He's so good. He's so good in this movie, and nobody's talking about it. So that's my theme. Movies nobody's talking about. That's
cool.
But except Triangle of Sadness, nominated for Oscars. So you know, other than that, I really like this movie a lot more than I thought I would, and it ranks higher than some other movies that I'm sure people will have a problem with. But you know what? It's my top 10. I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah, I like it. All right, number 6. My last one of the bottom half. You know, I just talked about Scream, which, you know, from the beginning, it's done a great job of like kind of satirizing the horror genre while also kind of being a meta commentary on it. And this movie here did that same thing so well, but for biopics. And I'm going with Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
Nice.
It was so funny. It was exactly what it needed to be. Like, it's a Weird Al biopic, you know, like they're parodying it. They're making fun of it. Daniel Radcliffe, who you would never think, would play Weird Al just on looks alone, was just like, he was perfect. He was great. All the dramatic moments of coming up with like My Bologna, it's just like, but it's like this like intense background music. It's just like so cinematic. Like it's hilarious. We get so many great cameos. They go to this party, I think at Dr. Demento's house, and like the guys from Lonely Island dressed up like, Pee Wee Herman. And like, there's just like, there's so many great examples there. And then I think it's Evan Rachel. What is she?
Yeah. Evan Rachel Wood.
Yeah.
She's Madonna.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is great, which is also hilarious though, because, Al has said in interviews, like he's only met her once, like they didn't really have a relationship at all, but she plays such a huge part in this movie. And it's just so funny, like the whole premise is that she wants to get the Yankovic bump where like he makes a parody so that she becomes popular again. But it's like, that never happened ever, but it's so good. And then Rainn Wilson is Dr. Demento. It's like, it was great. And I love Weird Al. I love his music. So this was just so much fun. So yeah, Weird, the Al Yankovic story is number 6.
Yeah. There's, that movie is really good. I think again, another interesting point, because this movie, is free on Roku. If you go to like roku.com, you can watch it. I believe it did get a physical media release, but it was like very limited, hard to find kind of a thing. So probably not enough people saw it.
Yeah.
I cannot get enough of Daniel Radcliffe just sending it, just doing the damn thing. Just like,
I love it.
Choosing a role and just being like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. And that's exactly what he does in this movie. And it works so freaking well.
He's got the Harry Potter bag. He can do whatever. He can be a farting corpse, as we've covered on here. Like, he can do anything he wants, and playing Weird Al is perfect. Yeah,
playing Weird Al is so perfect. That movie, I think, perfect description. Like, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, like, I think more people just need to be like up for having fun at movies.
Yeah.
Like, but so, a lot of people now are just like, well, is this movie technically proficient, and how is the score, and what is the theme, and all of these things. And it's like, you know what? I had a lot of fun at that movie. I'm going to rate it really high.
Exactly.
And I think that's great.
We're here for escapism, that's what Weird is.
100%. I love that pick. Weird is a really fun movie. Okay, here's my number 6. This is the hot ticket, Ben.
Okay.
This is the big one.
All
this
right.
is the big one. I got to get my podium ready. Got to get the mic, tap the mic. Going with the Batman. Number 6.
All right.
You were famously anti the Batman. Not a fan of our Pats in the Batman. You wanted more Bruce Wayne, right?
I wanted more Bruce Wayne, less like whispering lines and being emo. Like, we've all been to Hot Topic. We all know what like the Black Parade looks like. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need 3 hours of a movie of this.
I strongly disagree, and I love this film. You got me the 4K Steelbook of the Batman for Christmas, and like blew my mind. It's one of the best movies that I own, and the Steelbook is just sublime. Obviously, it's about Batman, in case you didn't know based on the title.
That's what I heard.
And Robert Pattinson, I think is excellent. I love his version of Bruce Wayne. I'm very curious to see what we get in the next Batman from him. Mm-hmm. And I think something that this movie does really well, in my opinion, is it does pick up that year one Batman vibe. Like we understand from the very opening minutes that like this, he is new to this. This is a brand new world for him, and trying to understand how to protect and take care of Gotham. Incredible Nirvana, needle drop, a sublime score from Michael Giacchino. And I will quickly mention, I was able to go to a Q&A with Michael Giacchino a couple of weeks ago here in Portland. He came to the city. He showed his MCU special presentation, Werewolf by Night, on a big screen at a local theater, and then did a Q&A afterwards. I was able to ask him a question kind of about working with Marvel, but I was also able to let him know, like, hey, thanks for putting out such a great score in the Batman. And I did that to spite you, Ben, and I feel really good about it.
I love it.
I love this score. I love the tone. I love the colors. I think that Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is sexy and really good at what she does, and is perfect kind of juxtaposition to Batman in this movie. And I think Paul Dano's really unhinged, and I love it, and I want more of it. It's got its problems for sure. It's not a perfect superhero film, and so there's that. But like, I just like this movie a lot. I think there's a lot to like. I saw it in theaters 3 times, so yeah, I like this movie.
And just to be clear, I'm happy for everyone who likes this movie, and honestly,
are you?
I wish nothing more than I loved this movie. Like Super Yaki put out the Robert Pattinson shirt, like in that My Chemical Romance font.
Yeah.
I bought it because I'm like, dude, this movie looks fucking awesome. This is going to be amazing. Like I went in wanting to love it. I want that to be clear. Like I wanted this to be like my favorite movie of the year, 100%.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It just fell so flat for me, unfortunately, but I'm happy for everyone that loves it. I think that's great.
I'm so sad for you. You know,
Me
you're
too,
missing
man.
out. You're missing out.
Yeah.
I have my IMAX The Batman poster. It's right over here, dude.
If
you
we
just can't see it.
If we get some more Bruce in number 2, maybe that'll be the tone shift I
swing
need.
you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's quite possible.
Okay.
My number 5 pick, I think visually is just like drastically different from the Batman. And you know, as slow and stuff as the Batman was, I just feel like I got the Need for Speed at my number 5 pick, and I'm going with Top Gun Maverick.
That is insane. You want to know why that's so crazy? Because that's also my number 5 pick.
Hell yeah. We
Let's
can talk
go.
about it together. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it was great. It's one of the best theater experiences I had of the year. It is, you know, it's cheesy to say, but like this is a movie made for theaters. Like Tom Cruise was right. You can go back and listen to our episode recently with Adam Palcher. We covered it, but you know, as much as we were all questioning Tom, just put it out, dude. Put it on Paramount Plus. It's fine. He held strong, and he was $1 billion right. You know what I mean? Like he proved that he was right. And you know, in retrospect, I'm super glad he did. So, just one of my favorite theater experiences. I'll leave it at that. Go back and listen to our episode. Like we really dive into it quite a bit, but this was so fun.
Yeah, man. I've said it before on this podcast. Top Gun Maverick fucking rules. Like there's no getting around it. Like you mentioned, having fun at movies. This is it. This is the pinnacle of like, let's go and have fun at the movies. I'm sure I mentioned it here before on the pod, but I was able to see Top Gun Maverick in RPX, which is like Regal Premium experience. The seats shake. They have their own little speakers. And let me tell you, if that wasn't one of the coolest movie theater experiences of my life, that was awesome. Like I was just sitting there. I went by myself and it was just like, they're doing the run. They're doing the 2-minute run. And I'm just like, my seat is shaking and I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. This is great. Like, I just want to live in this moment forever. Yeah. Top Gun Maverick, dude.
Fast planes, dude.
What a film.
It's so fun. So good.
Top Gun. Yeah. Tom Cruise has got it still. He's got it.
He does. Yeah. We can't wait for Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we're on to my number 4 here.
Yeah, dude. That was the 2 birds with 1 stone right there.
Yeah, I like
Took
this.
care of business.
I don't think this is going to be on your list, but it's definitely on mine.
Oh.
And it kind of plays into the title. That's why I put it here. But my number 4 is Jackass Forever.
Nice.
This was possibly the most fun I had watching a movie this year. Like having grown up on this stuff, you know, Land Speed, CKY, all that kind of shit. And then Jackass, obviously, and just hanging out with these guys. And then to now, you know, kind of be in the relative same age group and just seeing how they're adjusting their lives and introducing new people to it.
Yep.
Obviously, honestly, it's strangely similar to Top Gun, where it's like, let's bring in some new blood, but let's keep the old OGs, you know, and let's kind of mix them together. And it was really kind of fun to see what they did with some of these new people. Some of the stunts are just like insane.
They're so stupid.
Yeah. Like they tie a dude down and like put honey and like salmon on him, and then they release a bear into the room with him. That one where, dude, you know, it's like pitch black and I don't know. There's like the room of, I think it's like snake. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. Even the softball thrower, just like throwing him right at the nuts. Like, what does he do? Is he like pogo sticks onto the guy's nuts too? Like, there's so much stuff on there. Dave
England gets a bucket of like bear cum dumped on him or something.
Yeah, it's like, it's so bad, but like I think this is the kind of movie that I couldn't help but have fun, like feeling like I'm there with them, you know, because like they're doing insane stuff, but they're all having a good time in the big picture. You know, the people doing the stunts, maybe not at the moment, but overall, like everyone there is having a good time. And it's fun to just feel like you're hanging out with like old friends. So for me, I didn't see it until it dropped on Paramount Plus. I guess it came out a little bit, whatever.
Came out like early in the year.
Yeah, it was super early, but I think it falls into this. I hit Paramount Plus on March 22nd. So yeah, that's when I saw it and I loved it. So Jackass Forever.
I think more people do need to recognize how good Jackass Forever is. Were you able to and we'll keep it nondescript, but were you able to watch some of the pranks or some of the stunts that were in the credits, in the perhaps the post-credit scenes?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that could be done. I didn't know that was something that the human penis was able to accomplish.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. And then they put out like Jackass 4.5, which was a bunch of like unused things as well. And I think that might be on Netflix or something for some reason.
Wow.
But there's so much stuff. The dude's dad that they get him like
with the spider.
Yeah. Oh man, so good. So yeah. Jackass Forever.
That's a good movie, especially like, if you just want to like flip something on and have laughs, that is how you do it. And yeah, I remember seeing that in theaters early in the year, and that was like pretty much, it kind of felt like, you know, you were on the cusp of like, okay, movies are starting to come back kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to see Jackass Forever, being only a few people in the theater, just literally just like pissing my pants. It was so funny. And being like, this is great. Like, movie theaters are awesome. This is why you come see them.
It's a great communal experience for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Watching all the crazy stuff that they do in that movie. That's a good pick. Okay, my number 4 could not be further from Jackass Forever. It's a masterpiece. It's a modern day masterpiece.
Whoa.
Goes by the name of Babylon. Not sure if you've heard about it, but little movie made by Damien Chazelle, starring Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, Brad Pitt. Really good stuff. I love Babylon, and this is my chance to finally kind of talk about Babylon without like doing a whole episode about Babylon. If you're unfamiliar, if you haven't seen it, if you have been purposefully avoiding it, perhaps like Ben has, it is a tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess, tracing the rise and fall of multiple characters during an era of unbridled decadence and depravity in early Hollywood. It is absolutely off the hinges crazy. The first half an hour is literally just a giant orgy party. Don't know how they filmed all of that. Really impressive technical skills. I love the nuance and the juxtaposition of having very intimate stories with Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt and Diego Calva and our main characters, all while the craziest, most outlandish things are happening in 1920s Hollywood. Like, Hollywood is being formed. It is a land of depravity, but we get these very personal stories of people hoping for stardom. They move to Hollywood in hopes that they become famous, that they get to live the Hollywood lives. I mean, the entire final act takes place essentially the whole final act takes place in a location called LA's Asshole by the cracked out Tobey Maguire. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's just over 3 hours. I've got it 5 stars. I love it. I get the Steelbook in like a couple of days. It shows up. I pre-ordered it on Amazon. I listen to the score all the time. I mean, talk about robbed at the Oscars. Come on. What? It lost to that? Come on.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Babylon killed some of my picks, that's for sure.
That's how Babylon will go down in your history books. Babylon fucked up my Oscars picks.
It will, for sure.
I love Babylon.
Segue here. My number 3 pick were the other fuck ups I had at the Oscars, and that is Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Wow, nice,
man. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but
you're an Elvis diehard,
so much,
dude.
Man, like it's crazy. This movie, I love it so much. I think it's perfection. I think Baz Luhrmann tells Elvis's story in such a chaotic and crazy way. And it's like perfect. Like I think it's done so well. Austin Butler gives a great performance. Obviously, Tom Hanks, it's like questionable. Like it's just weird.
Questionable
You know
best,
what I mean?
okay?
Like, yeah, it's crazy that like he also did like Pinocchio and was Geppetto, and we don't know if that was his worst performance last year because like Colonel Tom Parker was like kind of rough, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I love Elvis. Again, you can go back and listen to us talk about it. Like I could go on and on about that movie, but I think Baz is always a fun storyteller, and he takes this story. Obviously, there's like a lot of things that get skipped over, you know, without a doubt. Like it's not without its faults, but for what it is, I think it's wonderful. And so that's the first entry into my top 3.
Wow. That's a good poll. And for your top 3, it's a good way to start.
Yeah.
I knew you ranked Elvis really high. I didn't know you ranked it 3. I think I love that you're true to yourself, Ben. You know,
I gotta say, you shocked me with Babylon. Like I have an idea of what your top 4 are, and I didn't think that would be number 4. But I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Here's the thing: 1 through 4, 5 stars. That's just how 2022 shook out for me.
That's
so
fair.
It was, you know, it comes down at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's tough. You're gonna make me rethink this list, Ben.
It's done.
It's not
Locked
good.
in.
It's locked in. I can't do this. My number 3, little movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Whoa.
You know,
Whoa.
won some Oscars.
Okay.
Did you think this was going to be higher or lower for me?
Higher for sure.
Oh, okay. You were thinking number 2?
2. I thought 2.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
That's what I
So
thought.
it wasn't number 2 for quite a while. I will be honest with you. It was a number 2, and then I did some rewatches for the Oscars, and I was like, you know what? I gotta stand firm with what I believe in my heart. Everything Everywhere is by far a more fun watch than my top 2 are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure I know where you rank this movie. There's not much to say that hasn't already been said. This movie just doesn't really get old. I think it has incredible script, incredible score, fantastic acting, insane editing. Like, you know, it's the whole package. It's everything that we've talked about. It won all of the awards for a reason. It will forever be remembered as what I believe a very pivotal piece of movie consumption. I'm really curious to see what happens after this with not necessarily just the Academy, but with how movies are made, edited, consumed. This has very much that Gen Z, you know, vibe to it, that formula to it, very fast, very quick, and something that is designed to be memeified, talked about in 140 characters, things like this. So yeah, number 3 for me.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I before we started, I would have bet that our 1 and 2 were the same, but in reverse order. So that's why I'm surprised to hear it was at number 3. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I did not expect that, but
yeah,
you know,
well, expect the unexpected from me, Ben.
Yeah, I guess number
2 surprises in a row.
Number 2 will wait and cannot start without you. So,
God damn it.
Number 2 for me is After Sun, which is a movie that just wrecked my shit like so hard. Like it's crazy. That movie is so good. We've talked about it a little bit on here, but you know, it's something that I saw, and when it was done, like before I saw it, you had declared at the time Everything Everywhere is still your number 1, and you're like, no, this is my number 1 now. And I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, that's insane.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
Hear that, you know? So I went in watching it knowing that you felt that way, and the movie ends, and I was like, I mean, it's good, but it's like, wow, better than Everything Everywhere. And then, as I've stated multiple times on this podcast, the next day I started crying at my desk when I was thinking about the movie. It's like, my God, it's so fucking beautiful. It's so good. It's a perfect movie. It is a 5-star movie. So well done. Charlotte Wells did a great job telling this story. I'll never hear, you know, that Queen song again, like the same.
Ever again.
It's just it's so good. I have a feeling you're going to be talking about it later, so I'll let you do most of the talking on it. But After Sun was just maybe my biggest surprise of the year, where I just I didn't know it was going to do that to me. So that's my number 2 pick, Paul Mescal.
Yeah, I think like that movie has it. It's got like the indefinable quality of what just makes a sublime film. You talk about directorial debuts. I mean, like, you know, for me, you know, you talk about Orson Welles, you talk about like the pantheon of directorial debuts and all of these iconic movies. Like, I think this goes down. I think this makes the Hall of Fame. I truly do. And After Sun is sublime. I won't say anything else because it's upcoming. It's on its way. You were right with my number 2. Can't Start Without Me. Can't Start Without Time. Lydia Tarr herself.
Yeah.
Tarr is a modern day masterpiece. And look, it may sound like I throw that word around. I do not. I swear. Okay. I think that Tarr is just sublime. I just like, there's just like no words. Like, every time I think about Tarr, I'm like, wow, this moment, it's kind of oddly enough in the same vein as like a Succession for me, where it's like you rewatch it and you're like, oh my God, this connects to 17 other scenes.
Yeah.
And she acts this way because of X, Y, and Z. And like, she manipulates these people and these things because she thinks she's better than that. And she thinks she can get away. We obviously talked about Tarr here on the pod. And so if you want my deep, full thoughts on that, go find the Tarr episode. 5 stars for me. I know Michelle Yeoh deserved the Oscar, but I was still fighting hard for Cate Blanchett. I think this was the performance of the year, in my opinion. I think Michelle Yeoh had a better story to go along, had a more well-rounded, more full, kind of encompassed like reason why she needed that award. And I love that for her. But I think this goes down as like one of the best performances in a movie like this. And, you know, for Todd Field to come back, unfortunately, I haven't seen any of his other films, so I need to. He comes back after 16 years and he just makes fucking Tarr. And it's like, what have you been doing? Like, why have you been depriving us of some of these incredible things in your brain? I love Tarr, part of the Tarmy. I got to figure out my Tarr tattoo, man. Because I have an Everything Everywhere All at Once tattoo. And that's the thing. They were switched for a long time. It was Everything Everywhere at 2, Tarr at 3. And then I rewatched Tarr and I was like, no, we got to be honest with ourselves here. It's Tarr.
Yeah, your After Sun one as well.
Yeah, After Sun. I gotta get these tattoos squared away, dude.
I know you don't throw around masterpiece lightly. Tarr, right? After Sun.
Yep.
And Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I think those are the 3 you said this past year that are masterpieces.
Right.
So,
that's the holy trinity of 2022 masterpieces.
Totally understandable.
Makes sense.
I think, you know, my number 1 is your number 3. I also feel like this is a masterpiece. Just one of the greatest things I've seen in my life. You know, like it's weird having talked about it for so long, because it's like, God, it's amazing. I love it. And I just like keep talking about it. Like I kind of get tired of just saying how much I love this movie, but I love this movie. It's when Flynn was on, we talked about our top 4, and it's the first thing that made me change my top 4 in Letterboxd. Like it's a big deal. It was nuts, you know, and even then I was like, is this, I don't know. Again, you can go listen to us talk about it twice. You know, we covered it when it released, and then also
first
for
double
Best Picture
episode we've ever done.
Yeah. So that was good. I could spend the next hour talking about it, but I just, like everything I've talked about from these other 9 movies, it felt like there's a snippet of it in Everything Everywhere, whether it's like the thriller part of it, whether it's like tugging at my heartstrings, whether it's like reflecting on yourself, like, or just like goofy stunts, you know what I mean? Like everything. This is so dumb, but everything is in there. And so, gotcha. I don't know. It's just like, it's perfect. But at the same time, I get if someone says it's overrated because it's talked about so much, like I understand, that's fine. For me, this is a perfect movie. One of my favorites of all time. So easily my number 1. Again,
like, I think it is a product of the culture for better and for worse. Like it is definitely, you know, now, especially on TikTok, but, you know, on Twitter as well, like, now it's really cool to be like, that movie sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it won 7 Oscars, or because like everybody's talking about it, because like people are represented, because people identify, like, why does it suck? And then people are just like, nah, it's just overrated. It's like, well, is it though? So I think that's very interesting for that movie. And again, like, I don't think the conversation will really ever die down about that film. Like, I think it'll just be continually talked about for maybe ever. My number one is, in fact, After Sun. I've seen this movie 3 times. I saw it 2 times in the theater. Just cried and cried and cried. And saw it at home with Molly. Cried some more about the physical edition that A24 just dropped like last week. So exciting. I've never bought anything as fast as that like, in my life.
So quick.
And like I have 2 young daughters, so this movie hits really close to home. I'm a young dad. I'm only 28. So seeing Paul Mescal play a role like that of a young dad with a daughter who's growing up, like they get mistaken for brother and sister. I'm sure that'll happen at some point in my life with my kids. And although I've heard differing opinions on the kind of storytelling device of using, Sophie's point of view for the memories and kind of getting that extra bit in her home and really kind of attaching the two and kind of pulling that piece together. I think it's extremely effective. I don't think it's manipulative in the slightest. I think it earns everything that it gets. And I went into this not knowing essentially like what I was getting into. I just didn't know where the movie was going. So I think from like those terms, it just absolutely obliterated my soul. And when we get the end of like Sophie and I hear Sophie's baby cry, and it's just like, God fucking damn. Like it's just so unbelievable. I can't wait to see more from Charlotte Wells. Truthfully, honestly, like I just cannot wait to see what she has next. Paul Mescal has absolutely locked up getting an Oscar in the next 5 years. Like I think this starts his campaign of like, okay, in 5 years, it's the cumulative everything you've done award, right?
Maybe
and
for Gladiator 2. Who knows?
Gladiator 2. Let's go. Ridley Scott, Best Director, 2024, 2025. I don't know. I don't know. Love this movie. Number one. And it did crack my top 25 of all time, and that feels wrong. It feels like that's not allowed to happen, but it did, and that's what it is. And I just can't get enough of this movie.
You gotta follow your heart, man.
So good. Gotta follow your heart. Okay, Ben, we've done our top 10. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to throw out into the universe here?
I'll just go through them real quick. Don't necessarily need to talk about them, but The Menu I thought was great. Turning Red from Pixar was so wonderful. I really enjoyed the second half of Multiverse of Madness. Like when Sam Raimi got to be Sam Raimi, I was there for it. Like it was a lot of fun. Fire Island, which is on Hulu, is a great movie. Just a fantastic story. And then this is legit and probably comes as a bit of surprise to you. The Batman does fall on my list, as does After Yang and Banshees. I need to get my Colin Farrell 3 in here. My feelings on the Batman I've made clear, but basically, like, I love all the villains. Like, Paul Dano's doing great, John Turturro's doing great, and Colin Farrell's like, I can't wait for the Penguin series. Because
I was going to ask, where are you at on the Penguin series?
Like, he was my favorite part of that movie. You know, it's like, honestly, it was like Jeffrey Wright and Pattinson and Kravitz and like Andy Serkis. Like, so much of that felt miscast to me. I just didn't like it. But all the villains, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see it. And honestly, after like seeing Banshees too, like I'm here for what's his name doing Joker. It's like, let's see, like he can play
Barry
super
Keoghan.
Weird. Yeah, Barry Keoghan. Yeah, he can do weird shit. So like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. A lot of thoughts on Joker just in general, but I'm curious to see what he does with it because he has to do something different. So I'm curious to see where that goes. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Undoubtedly, they are picking the best villain of that movie to make a spinoff series, obviously, and the one that could have the most longevity for a series.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. Okay, a couple of my honorable mentions here. I'm not necessarily like going in order, but here are things that I think are worth mentioning. If you've got a watch list going, you can just go on Letterboxd and there's just like one button that says watch list. You can add it to your watch list. Super simple. Write this down in your notes, whatever it may be. Hustle, really high on my list for 2022. Loved that movie. Cried at that movie. Thought it was way better than it had any right to be. Adam Sandler and basketball, man. You just get that guy talking about basketball. He makes a good movie. Yeah. And I love that. Cha-Cha Real Smooth, I think is actually really good. Cooper Raif's sophomore film there. The Northman, pretty high on my list. that's a movie that like came and went, and Robert Eggers blew like $150 million on this movie, and it just got ripped apart at the box office and was really scary for movies for like a hot second. And it's like, oh my God, like maybe auteurs don't get to make things anymore.
I think they refer to that as chiseling now. I think that's what they call that, is when you blow
Fuck you.
hundreds of billions of dollars on a movie. Yeah.
You know, as long as the Academy recognizes it, that's all that I care about.
He really chiseled it, you know.
He really, yeah. We're past shrewded it. We're on to chiseled it. He really chiseled it.
Yeah.
Ambulance. I think more people need to watch Ambulance, because Jake Gyllenhaal is just fucking unhinged in that movie, and he's screaming about cashmere sweaters at the top of his lungs while holding a machine gun and performing surgery in the back of an ambulance driving through downtown LA. It's immaculate. It is truthfully really great stuff. And yeah, it starts on my list as well. Last one that I wanted to mention is called Senior. It is on Netflix. It is a Robert Downey Jr. Directed biography about Robert Downey Sr., about his dad and his life in cinema and the movies that he's made. Hit me a lot harder than I thought it would, and it's a really touching story about generational storytelling and being there for your family and creating a culture and creating a lifestyle, really, of creating something that lives past you, which I totally think is worth watching. Dude, this was fun. We never get to talk about our movies, like just like this. This was a blast.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, I mean, obviously we love going over A24. We're excited to get back into it, but it's been a nice little break to talk about other things and just stuff that we don't get to talk about at all. So yeah, this was cool. I had a good time. I'm honestly very curious. Everyone that's listening, I would love to know what your favorite releases were of 2022, because everyone's got such different tastes. So please, like, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. We are at 24 minutes of A24. So follow and review us, and, Apple Pod, Spotify, we're everywhere. We are also, speaking of everywhere, on YouTube, where you can watch us do this, and just talk to each other. And we're back to our old setup of just looking at each other, not sitting next to each other. But
hey, and we just hit 60 subscribers on YouTube. So shout out everybody that subbed to us on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're all the best.
That's rad. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. So yeah, go follow us there, subscribe there. And I can't wait to do this next year. Top 10 of 2023, Barbie #1, without a doubt.
Barbie number one. Bet on it right now.
Play this clip back in 1 year. So
I will save this clip on a hard drive, and I'll just label it, 3-20-2024. Play this clip.
I love it. So yeah, everyone, thank you for support. I hope you enjoyed all the Oscars coverage, but we're going to get back to A24 stuff now. So thank you again. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.
Feels good to hear that again.
That felt good. That felt really good.
Feels really good.